the board may vote and discuss on the developing proposed regulations concerning the following three topics. A, regulations to codify board policy with respect to review of mail ballots and applications and determine standards concerning challenges in the mail ballots. Two mail ballots. B, regulations concerning the notification where possible of any male voter whose ballot was disqualified pursuant to the statute in order to provide an opportunity to cure the defective ballot. And C, regulations concerning the proper determination of voter intent in cases where mail ballots have been rejected by automated counting devices.
Mr. Chair, I put these on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
And I put them on the agenda because they're follow-ups to the open strategic planning workshop we had last spring. I believe Mr. Marion was there, where we talked about the various regulatory initiatives that we were going to undertake. Last meeting, we did one thing that I was working on with Ray, which was the appeals from local board of canvassers to this board in terms of how process works, and that's now out for public comment. And we spent a lot of time on the HAVA reg and the voter registration reg, and now it's time to sort of move on to the next area where I'd like to see some regulatory initiatives. The first one is, in a lot of this, I was thinking about this when the Secretary of State was talking, because she was talking about, well, we do this, but we don't, it's not in the regulation, it's not in the statute, and it should be. So the first thing is, when we get mail ballots, the applications and the ballots together, how do we determine what a proper standard is for challenging that ballot? We just saw 13 signatures, all of which were totally valid, but they were challenged. So we need, I think it would be a good idea for us to codify somehow the standards we use in terms of how much of an address, when signatures can be challenged, et cetera. So we have something in writing that people can look at as board members and also as attorneys who come before the board and want to see exactly what our standards are for approving or avoiding mail ballots. So that's the first thing. The second part, I'll skip for a second and go to the third, which is proper determination of voter intent. I think, Mr. Marion, Mr. Raposa were in Colorado to learn about the post-election audit process that Colorado has. And one of the things that I was struck by, I think Mr. Marion posted it, was the handbook that they have for how to determine how votes are counted and what counts as a valid vote and what doesn't count as a valid vote. So that's something, again, we've been doing sort of on an ad hoc basis, but I think it would be good to have regulations specific. Virginia does as well. I noticed when they had that Virginia recount, to have a regulation that defines what constitutes a valid vote. When there are mail ballots that are rejected by the machines, that's when we have to do the remakes. So this would cover the remakes. And the middle one, which is concerning notification, is something that's particularly interested me, because when we void ballots because somebody forgot to sign them or witness signature, we don't notify those folks that their ballot wasn't counted. And I would like to see a process in place where not only do we notify people that their ballot wasn't counted, but we give them an opportunity to correct that. Because if you go into in-person early voting, or if you go into the machine and you go on election day, if your ballot is rejected, you have a chance to remake it right there. But if you're engaged in a mail ballot, if you're using a mail ballot and it comes in, you have no chance to correct it. So I'd like to see something that allows at least notice and perhaps an opportunity to rectify. I know it's been discussed in various other states. And again, if we're trying to improve the process and ensure that every vote counts, these things would be good. So this is just basically my request that the board vote to proceed with the regulatory writing process, so that our attorney can work on these regulations and we know what direction we're going in, and then we can look at the actual results later. So it's really a motion to proceed.
I have a question for you, Your Honor. When we reject a mail ballot, what do you think the cutoff days would be before we can get them another one?
Well, we don't know, that's what we have to look at.
Oh, you have to.
We have to figure that out.
Okay, I thought, okay, now we can.
We at least should notify people, but if we start certifying mail ballots now, it used to be you didn't certify mail ballots until after the election, until after the polls closed. Back again in my early, career, that was how.
A real long time ago.
Real long time ago, pre-court, as it were, and so they didn't even open the mail ballots until after the election was closed, so there's no opportunity. Now we look at mail ballots a week before in the statute.
20 days before.
We start looking at mail ballots 20 days before the election. So, and that's plenty of time if something comes in those first days. And the idea is if if we have an opportunity to notify, we should probably have a notification system so that they can come in and cast a corrected ballot.
Very good. So,
Was that a motion?
We need a motion?
Yes, I move that we proceed with regulation, developing regulations in these areas.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion on the floor to improve our regulations. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it.